Hi everyone, this is Peter from the Sampleist, and today we're going to be looking at Electro by Teletone Audio. Electro is an electronic rhythm orchestrator, which includes sounds from the Roland TR-808 and 809, the Roland Juno 60, the LinnDrum, the Moog DFAM, and a few other analog and digital synths that are thrown in. It includes a beat maker that creates and arranges patterns. It has sound design options for kits such as per drum sample blending and EQ, as well as several effects that can be controlled via the pitch and mod wheels. That includes some fun stuff like time stretching and a little chaos filter. And it includes about 75 custom drum kits, as well as over 100 beat presets, which have 7 variations each. So that's over 700 different patterns to choose from. And of course, the ability to save user drum kits and user beat presets. Electro requires the free contact player 6.7.1 or later. It takes up about 1 gigabyte of disk space, and it is downloaded through the Pulse downloader activated through native access. It retails for $129.99 US. So today we're going to go look through some of the presets. I'll do some intermittent demonstrations of the features. I will try to keep talking to a minimum, none if possible. And then we'll look at a composition and have some closing thoughts. So before we get started, just would like to thank Teletone Audio for a review copy of this library. Much appreciated. And most importantly, Teletone Audio has not seen or influenced this video in any way. So with that, let's get on to some sounds. And I've just pulled up the default patch that comes when you load up Electro. So we've got the 808 kit along with the 120 BPM Electro beat. Now the beats are organized by target tempo, but because they're just sequencers that are triggering samples, you can use these at any tempo you'd like, and they're not going to be stretching or squeezing anything. It'll just be triggering things at different rates. So very flexible that way. So I'll play through some of these beats. It'll change the kit when I change the beat, as long as I don't have that lock icon changed. So in going through these, we'll also go through some of these, and then I'll do little bits of tweaking as we go along. All right, so now I'm going to go back to this default beat, and let's just hear what some of the different kits sound like with this same beat. One thing I'll just point out really quick, these first few are sort of the core kits, and as per the description on their website, it's specifically the 808, 909, DFAM, Juno 60, and LinnDrum that are the most deeply sampled. And then this DX7 and Toy kit have some fun extras. But then all of these other kits below are sort of different blends and different takes on the different kits. So let's listen to the core ones first, and then I'll go through a selection of the extras. So that's a few of the different kits. Like I mentioned before, you can find a favorite kit and lock it in place with this button here, which will allow you to browse different beats but keep the kit the same. I've been playing the beats, the grooves, up here in the blue keys, but obviously you can play the individual samples using the red keys down here, which map to the keys you would generally expect drum samples to map to. Now you'll notice in playing these down here, we get a change in the drum detail. So I can switch myself, but I can also switch by playing the different drums. And this is where we can set the per drum sort of effects. So if I want to, boost some of the high frequencies on my kick, for example, or mids, yeah, get a little bit of that resonance there. So I can do some very precise sound design to these drums if I would like. And then one other thing, let me just go back to a different kit. So we'll take a quick look at the beat maker too. So I did flip to this during the walkthrough, but a few really handy features to look at. So here we can change different parameters: the velocity, the feel, the spread, the tune, and the decay at each step. So a few different parameters to change around here. You can mute and solo different pieces of the kit. And this one has all pieces of the kit on the same number of steps, but you can change per instrument from 1 to 16 steps. And you can also change the different note lengths on some of these. You can add things like double hits. Sorry, that's a variation rather than the double hits. These numbers up here, you can change the subdivisions of these different things. So quite a flexible sequencer here. You also have the ability to choose a home key. And then in the beat maker here, you can kind of tweak some of these notes, which is more important for these percussive elements, but you can always apply it to the different sounds of the kit and just bring a little bit more cohesion. Yeah, and then lastly, a few extra tools at the end here. So there's a few kind of basic presets for different beats. So these ones, oops. Just give you some good starting points. You can also randomize, which is nice, and reset everything. So yeah, a few fun features to this beat maker that make it relatively quick to use and modify. You can again flip through the different types here, the different variations, or you can flip through by playing. Yeah, and you can save these separately, reset them, and just make it all your own. And then, of course, something that is always really handy to have with tools like this is the ability for MIDI export. So even if you have some other sounds you'd like to be using, you can always create beats in here, use the existing beats, and then export them. So that is an overview of the sounds and the tool. Let's next jump into a composition. So obviously for the composition, all of the drum sounds are from this tool, and I've added some other orchestrations and synthesizers to kind of show how this would be used in context. So in the composition, you'll see the yellowy colors correspond to electro, and then the gray colored instruments are the extras. And I used a bit of a mix of the beats that kind of drove the skeleton of what I was doing, and then in some cases I would have a beat augmented by some extra drum hits from potentially a second instance of electro. So enjoy the composition. An example of a composition using Electro. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope that it showed you a bit of the breadth of what this thing can do in context. So a few closing thoughts from me. This tool, as I hope was obvious from the preset walkthrough, it's largely focused on electronic genres. So within the electronic genre scene, I think it's quite versatile. It kind of goes from hip hop to house to synthwave. It covers quite a variety in the electronic genres there. And of course, it can be fun to inject that sort of thing in unexpected and interesting places. And this, with the number of presets and the quality of the presets, I think gives you a really good starting point if you're a beginner at using these types of kits. So on that note, I do feel like there were lots of nuances in the presets, lots of interesting bits of the presets, the different beats, the different subgrooves 1 through 8 of the beats. They often played very well into each other. Usually there were a couple, like there were groups of them that sounded very similar except for maybe a changed ending or something. But then there were different groups that were had a bit more variety. So it gave you a lot to play with within a single beat preset that allowed for some cohesion. There are lots of settings to tweak in this, not just on the beat maker, but all of the different effects, some of the drum blending, the ability to swap out different pieces of different kits and combine them in new ways. That really increases the flexibility of this instrument, and it helps if you want to really go after a certain type of sound. Yeah, and I think having some of those tuned percussive elements adds some interesting flair, and gives it a bit more life. But of course, there's always the option to get rid of those if you want to keep the tuned stuff out. So yeah, it gives lots of control back, and of course, having a MIDI export gives you the ultimate flexibility in terms of using this for other tools. So with that, I'd like to once again thank Teletone Audio for the review copy of Electro. And I would like to thank all of you for watching. Please keep up the watches, the subscriptions, ask us questions in the comments, or leave your own thoughts. Those are always appreciated. With that, I hope to see you next time at the Sampleist.